मंगोल का ऑब्जेक्ट भी बढ़ गया था. In this period, they even captured. He is also known for developing what is called market control policy. Indian history में इतना टैक्स कोई ले पाया है सक्सेसफुली? He succeeded in fulfilling his object. Now, prosperity for the state. We are discussing right now Delhi Sultanate. We are discussing Delhi Sultanate, and the period of Delhi Sultanate is 1206 to 1526. And we are discussing the political aspect first. Political aspect first. Then we will take up society and economy separately, culture separately. तो अभी हम केवल पॉलिटिकल एस्पेक्ट पे बात कर रहे हैं. जैसे हम पहले रूलर्स पे बात करेंगे, हम एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन पे बात करेंगे, और फिर हम बाद में इकोनॉमी, सोसाइटी और कल्चर पे बात करेंगे. We started discussing Alauddin Khilji. You can give heading Alauddin Khilji's Mongol Policy. What was his Mongol policy? Mongol policy. What was his Mongol policy? I hope you remember we talked about Mongol policy of Iltutmish. We mentioned some Mongol approach of Balban. Right? Now you have Mongol policy of Alauddin Khilji. Now we have Mongol policy of Alauddin Khilji. So always remember, there can be a separate question on Mongol policy. There can be a separate question on any one issue, how they are controlling nobility. So gradually, in every area, we are taking up Mongol policy. So Iltutmish had some Mongol policy. Balban had some Mongol policy. Iltutmish had what? Aloofness. His policy was aloofness. Balban, diplomacy and force. What was the Mongol policy of Alauddin Khilji? मंगोल जो नॉर्थ वेस्ट से आते थे, कांस्टेंट प्रॉब्लम थे अलाउद्दीन खिलजी के लिए, कांस्टेंट प्रॉब्लम थे दिल्ली सल्तनत के लिए. तो व्हाट वाज द मंगोल पॉलिसी ऑफ अलाउद्दीन खिलजी? Whether he continued Balban's policy of force, same like Balban, or any change, whether there was some Mongol invasion under Alauddin Khilji also, क्या बलबन के समय में भी मंगोल अटैक हुआ था? Yes, they were constantly attacking Delhi. Yes, Mongol captured Delhi. You know, they captured Delhi. Mongols, they were very dangerous in this period, constantly attacking Delhi. And even they captured Delhi. Unbelievable. They even captured Delhi in Alauddin Khilji period. Can you believe it? मंगोल का ताकत बढ़ गया था, लग रहा है. मंगोल का ऑब्जेक्ट भी बढ़ गया था. In this period, they even captured. But our Alauddin Khilji, he defeated Mongol several times. So he used force. He was aggressive. He managed like Balban, standing army. He controlled forts. Fine. So he continued force. He continued army. He continued fort making. So his approach was aggressive. And it is said that finally he weakened Mongols. एक बार नहीं, 2-3 बार मंगोलों को हरा दिया. मंगोलों की ताकत देखो, ये दिल्ली भी कैप्चर कर ले रहे हैं इस पीरियड में. They were very aggressive in this period, Alauddin Khilji's period. But Alauddin was also ready to tackle them, and he was very, aggressive against Mongols. He continued the army, he continued the construction of fort, and he defeated you can say Mongol also several time, and gradually weakened Mongols. So he managed to defeat Mongols, bache. He managed to defeat Mongol. So he weakened Mongols. Done? Right. So what all you can mention? You can mention some point. Mongol. You can mention some point. Right? You can mention some point. Mongol problem. You can add that during Alauddin Khilji's period, the Mongol incursion extended further. Yes, sometime there was defeat also. We will not go for that detail. But first time they tried to ravage Delhi in 1299 under Kutlug Khwaja. This name you have to remember. Kutlug Khwaja. Kutlug Khwaja. Right? So constantly Kutlug Khwaja attacking Delhi. Constantly. They were always powerful. Bache. Outside India. There was a class outside India, and they were trying to expand. So second time Kutlug Khwaja attacked Delhi when Alauddin was busy in his Chittor campaign. And it is said that even Mongol seized Delhi. है ना बच्चे? Even Mongol seized Delhi. This is very important. Even they seized Delhi. But Alauddin wanted a permanent solution. He recruited huge standing army. है ना? He recruited huge standing army, and he started strengthening the frontier fort. Remember, Balban started constructing those frontier fort. He only strengthened them. He recruited a huge standing army. He strengthened the frontier forts, and he defeated Mongols many times. And Alauddin defeated Mongol many times. Fine. Alauddin defeated Mongol many times. ठीक है? तो Mongol problem was a constant problem. Even Alauddin Khilji faced problem of Changez Khan. Changez Khan. Right? So there was constant war between Khwarizm and Mongols outside India. And Mongol were always trying to enter India. Always trying to enter India. They were very cruel. They were very dangerous, they say. And they became very popular under Changez Khan. So there was a possibility of Changez Khan attack during Iltutmish period, but Iltutmish tackled them. Iltutmish followed the policy of aloofness. Balban constructed army. Balban defeated them. Balban constructed forts. Alauddin continued army, continued force, and he also defeated them several times. Different historians give you different data. So several times. And finally, you will see most of the historians, they say that he weakened Mongols. So what is the conclusion? What is the conclusion of Mongols' policy of Alauddin Khilji? He was successful in handling Mongol problem. Alauddin was successful in handling Mongol problem. He was successful in handling Mongol problem. Right? Most of the historians, they believe that he was successful in handling Mongol problem. Yes, there are occasions when he was also defeated. Right? So, he was also defeated, but he weakened Mongol. That you can remember. That you can remember. Fine. Yes, Balban had a standing army, but his army was... Balban was not known for his standing army. It was Alauddin Khilji, but Balban also had idea of army for, you can say, Mongol. So Balban had army for Mongol, not a standing army, not a standing army. Balban also favored creation of army for Mongol, creation of fort for Mongol. Fine. So this only, right, you can remember regarding the Mongol policy of Alauddin Khilji. It was a continuation of Balban's policy, and he was successful in resisting it. Fine. Now, next important dimension of Balban is, Alauddin Khilji is his revenue policy. His revenue policy. His revenue policy. And why he needed revenue, you know, revenue policy. Right? Why he needed revenue, you understand. Large army, expenditure. So revenue was the need of the hour. Revenue was the need of the hour. So revenue policy. His revenue policy. So his main source of revenue was land revenue. We can add his main source of revenue was land revenue. Main source of revenue was land revenue. And what was his land revenue policy? We can mention his land revenue policy was based on measurement. His land revenue policy was based on measurement. His land revenue policy was based on measurement. Based on measurement. Based on survey. Based on measurement, based on survey. Then we can add he confiscated all the charitable grants. He confiscated all the charitable grants. Confiscated all the charitable grants. Charitable grants. So therefore, he confiscated all the charitable grants, and therefore he brought all these land into Khalsa land. He brought all these land into Khalsa land, matlab crown land. He brought all these land into Khalsa land. What is Khalsa land? Crown land. So that he can get revenue. Fine. So he confiscated all the charitable grants, and he brought all the land into, he brought all the charitable land into Khalsa land. What is Khalsa land? Crown land. Khalsa land is crown land. Then next step of Alauddin Khilji. Next step was he controlled the intermediaries. He controlled the intermediaries. He curbed the privileges of intermediaries. He curbed the privileges of intermediaries like khut, mukaddams, chaudharis. So he curtailed the privileges of the intermediaries. He curtailed the privileges of intermediaries. Curtailed the privileges of intermediaries and maintained direct relation with the peasant. Maintained direct relation with the peasant. Direct relation with the peasant. Direct relation with the peasant. And he fixed the land revenue 50% of the produce. Half. He fixed the land revenue 50% of the produce. He fixed the land revenue, land tax, 50% of the produce. 50%. 50% of the produce. And he collected revenue directly from the peasant with officer appointed by him like amils. Officer appointed by him like amils, like munsrifs. So he collected the land revenue directly from the peasant through his officer like amils. And he created a department for it called Diwane Must Kharaj. He created a department for it called Diwane Must Kharaj. He created a department for this revenue collection, Diwane Must Kharaj. Diwane Must Kharaj. Fine. Just try to remember Just try to remember. Where you have mentioned it, just try to understand it. Alauddin Khilji is known for revenue, developing a revenue model, and he is also known for developing what is called market control policy. Market control. So when they ask you economic policy of Alauddin Khilji, how he was a great economist, अलाउद्दीन खिलजी कैसे ग्रेट इकोनॉमिस्ट था, बहुत टिपिकल अप्रोच है इनका, बहुत टिपिकल अप्रोच है. ही डेवलप्ड ए रेवेन्यू मॉडल. क्या था रेवेन्यू मॉडल इनका? इनका रेवेन्यू मॉडल था, हिज रेवेन्यू मॉडल वाज कलेक्ट मैक्सिमम. किससे? पेजेंट से, बट बेस्ड ऑन मेजरमेंट, बेस्ड ऑन सर्वे. कितना टैक्स लेना शुरू कर दिया? लैंड रेवेन्यू 50%. कैन यू बिलीव इट? इंडियन हिस्ट्री में इतना टैक्स कोई ले पाया है सक्सेसफुली? तो देर इज कंफ्यूजन दैट ही वाज टेकिंग, राइट, यू नो, लैंड रेवेन्यू का मॉडल क्या है इनका? व्हाट वाज द मॉडल ऑफ लैंड रेवेन्यू? ही इज ए इकोनॉमिस्ट. वी हैव टू अप्रोच ऑफ अलाउद्दीन खिलजी. One is the revenue model and second is the market control. Unbelievable model, revenue model. क्या है रेवेन्यू मॉडल इनका? पेजेंट से डायरेक्ट कांटेक्ट में रहो, डायरेक्टली कांटेक्ट में रहो, बीच वाले को हटा दो, खुद को, मुकद्दम को, चौधरी को, बीच वाले को हटाओ, इंटरमीडियरी नहीं रहेगा, डायरेक्ट स्टेट डील करेगा उससे, अपने ऑफिसर से उनसे लेगा डायरेक्ट टैक्स. कितना? 50% ऑफ द प्रोड्यूस. अनबिलीवेबल. यू टेल मी, you have any ruler in history of India who can dare, like who dared to take 50%? है कोई? उनका क्या पॉलिसी था? बीच वाले को हटाओ, इंटरमीडियरी को हटाओ, खुद को हटाओ, मुकद्दम को हटाओ, और मेजरमेंट के बेसिस पर, सर्वे के बेसिस पर डायरेक्टली पेजेंट से 50% डिमांड करो, 50% डिमांड करो, आधा ले लो उससे, आधा. अरे कोई है भारत के इतिहास में? कोई है? मोहम्मद बिन तुगलक ने ट्राई किया था, समझ गए, मैं बताऊंगा आपको. अलाउद्दीन खिलजी ने न किया बल्कि लिया भी. He was successful. He was successful in doing that. Fine. So what was his revenue model? I said, दलाल को हटाओ, इंटरमीडियरी को हटाओ, सर्वे कराओ, मेजरमेंट कराओ, 50% कलेक्ट करो, कैलकुलेशन करो, काइंड में डिमांड करो, कैश में. अकॉर्डिंग टू सतीश चंद्र, बाकी लोग अलग अलग राय रखते हैं. और क्यों इतना पैसा कलेक्ट करो? सो दैट यू कैन गिव सैलरी, यू कैन गिव सैलरी. फाइन. सो दिस वॉज हिज रेवेन्यू मॉडल. एंड ऑफ कोर्स हार्स बच्चे, यू आर गेटिंग इट. दिस मैन वॉज ए ग्रेट इकोनॉमिस्ट प्रोबेबली. 50% of the revenue. And don't think that he was taking only land revenue, land tax. No. He was also taking other taxes also. We can add, he was also taking other taxes. He was also taking other taxes. Right? Other taxes like ghari, like charai. We can mention, apart from land tax, apart from land tax, apart from land tax, He also imposed some new taxes like ghari and charai. He also imposed some new taxes like ghari and charai. Ghari and charai. Ghari was house tax. Ghari was house tax. Charai was grazing tax. Grazing tax. Charai was grazing tax. Right? And apart from that, he was taking war booty also. War booty. War booty also, what you call khums. He was very harsh in collecting tax. He was very harsh. He was collecting, he had a separate set of officer to demand the last payment, outstanding payment. He was very harsh in collecting the payment. So, his revenue model was collect maximum. His revenue model was collect maximum. Collect maximum. Collect maximum. Right? War booty is what? Those things which they plundered during war. So, he was also demanding share. Some part would be for army, some part would be for state. So, war booty. War booty. So, his policy, his revenue model was collect maximum. Collect maximum. Land revenue 50%, ghari, charai, then war booty, maximum war booty. So, idea was to collect maximum. And then, what was the result of this revenue model? Result of this revenue model? Result of this revenue model? What was the result of this kind of revenue model? Result of this वॉर बूटी का मतलब जो युद्ध में छीनते हैं लोगों से, युद्ध में जो छीना जाता है, जो आर्मी छीनती है, जो आर्मी छीनती है, आर्मी को जो छीनती है उसका परसेंट देना होता है ना, उसका परसेंट देना होता है स्टेट को, बाकी आर्मी रख लेती है. इट इज कॉल्ड वॉर बूटी. So what was the impact of this kind of policy, result of this revenue model? What was the result of this revenue model? According to one historian, S. Roy, the capital was fed while the country at large was bled. The capital was fed. The capital was fed. The capital was fed. But the common man, or while the country at large bled, but the country at large bled. Country at large bled. The capital was fed, but the country at large bled. According to one historian, the capital was fed. स्टेट तो मजबूत हुआ, स्टेट को तो फायदा हुआ, स्टेट को तो फायदा हुआ, स्टेट को फायदा हुआ, लेकिन आम जनता आम जनता परेशान हो गई, कुछ नहीं रहा उनके पास। द कैपिटल वॉज फेड बट द कंट्री एट लार्ज ब्लेड। द कैपिटल वॉज फेड बट द कंट्री एट लार्ज ब्लेड, अकॉर्डिंग टू एस रॉय। स्टेट को तो फायदा हुआ, अगर स्टेट के नजरिए से देखोगे तो ये रेवेन्यू से स्टेट प्रॉस्पर हो गया बच्चे, स्टेट तो प्रॉस्पर हो गया। ये बात तो सही है कि दिल्ली सल्तनत को तो फायदा हुआ, अगर सल्तनत के हिसाब से देखें तो फायदेमंद है, अलाउद्दीन सक्सेसफुल हैं। लेकिन अगर आप आम जनता को देखोगे तो वो त्रस्त हो गई, कुछ नहीं बचा उनके हाथों में, कुछ नहीं बचा उनके हाथों में। द कंट्री एट लार्ज वॉज ब्लेड। देन वी कैन ऐड, according to one historian, the policy was suicidal in nature. According to one historian, the policy was suicidal in nature. आत्मघाती था बच्चे ये पॉलिसी, एक हिस्टोरियन कहता है ये पॉलिसी आत्मघाती था। It was suicidal in nature because it left no incentive for increasing the produce. Because it left no incentive for increasing the produce. It left no incentive for increasing the produce. So it was suicidal in nature. It left no incentive for increasing the produce. But he succeeded in fulfilling his object. But he succeeded in fulfilling his object. Yes or no? He succeeded in fulfilling his object. Now, prosperity for the state. Prosperity for the state. Now, state can manage huge army. State can manage huge army. Now state had money. Alauddin Khilji succeeded in fulfilling his object. What was his object? I told you. Object was to maintain a huge empire. Try to understand. I am asserting this again and again. Alauddin Khilji का क्या है इक्वेशन? Huge empire, huge army, collection of tax, giving them in cash, and dominating the scenario. कॉमन पीपुल को माध्यम बनाया, कॉमन पीपुल को कहा पहले टैक्स दो, तुम्हें हम शांति देंगे, तुम्हारे लिए कुछ व्यवस्था करेंगे, पहले स्टेट स्ट्रांग होगा, स्टेट को पैसा चाहिए। आई होप यू आर गेटिंग इट। तो टैक्स, no incentive for cultivator. So therefore, historian said his policy was suicidal. It killed that goose that laid the golden egg. उनका मोटिवेशन ही खत्म हो गया, इंसेंटिव ही खत्म हो गया। लेकिन अलाउद्दीन खिलजी was successful in his object because he could create large empire, he could collect large amount, he could maintain large army, he could give salary to them. Fine. Are you getting? Now, related to this was his market reform. So now give the heading, his market reform. His market reform. One was his revenue policy. One was his revenue policy, and second is market reform. Market reform. Fine. Market reform. Right. Now, why market reform? What was the reason for market reform? Yes, it is a wonderful idea. Only Alauddin Khilji could think of market reform. Have you seen any ruler doing market reform? He actually regulated market. He actually regulated market. Regulated market. He actually regulated the price. It is called price control. Price control. Price control. Unbelievable idea. Unbelievable idea. Medieval India, this man is trying to control the market. This man is trying to control the price. Unbelievable idea. Fixing the price. घोड़े का ये दाम होगा, स्लेब का ये दाम होगा, कपड़े का ये दाम होगा, एवरीथिंग फिक्स्ड. अनबिलीवेबल. ऐसा कभी सुना है इंडियन हिस्ट्री में? सो व्हाई दिस काइंड ऑफ पॉलिसी? क्या इनका ऑब्जेक्ट था? व्हाट वाज द ऑब्जेक्ट? ही रेगुलेटेड मार्केट. ही रेगुलेटेड प्राइस. Why this kind of? क्या है ऑब्जेक्ट? What was the object of this kind of market reform? हिस्टोरियन कहते हैं कि his object was to maintain huge army. Huge army. So he realized maintaining huge army huge army by giving low salary. Low salary. Are you getting this? Are you getting this? You all understand he needed huge army for his expedition. And he wanted to maintain huge army, लेकिन उनको पैसा कम देना था, लेस सैलरी. सारे लोगों से टैक्स ले लिया था, सबसे पैसा कलेक्शन ले लिया था टैक्स में. तो सारे लोगों को कम पैसे में जिंदगी चल जाए, हो जाए, तो उसके लिए क्या होना चाहिए? प्राइस रेगुलेशन. I hope you are getting it. Just try to understand. I said people have less money. Less money. Why people have less money? Because of tax. Because of tax. Now the army, they had less salary. Less salary. Why? Because their number was more. Because their number was more. So now you see, In Alauddin Khilji period, army had less salary, people have less money in hand, right? So he wanted to control the price, so that even this can help them or this can help them, and there would be no reaction. Are you getting my point? Are you getting my point? Are you getting the equation? Very simple equation we have. Very simple equation. And when there was control the price or market control, when you have market control, when we have market control, he realized that less revolt, less revolt. Are you getting it? So more army, less salary, more tax, less people, less money in the hand of people, control the market price, control the price, and then there would be less chance of revolt. This was the equation of Alauddin Khilji. Try to understand Alauddin Khilji. Now, do you consider him as economist or not? Are you getting his model? अब ये समझ रहे हो कि अलाउद्दीन खिलजी क्यों तेज था? Why this man was very intelligent? Right? Done. So now you write. What was the object behind market reform? What was the object? What was the object behind market reform? What was the object behind market reform? We can add that Amir Khusro praised these measures. Amir Khusro praised these measures. Amir Khusro praised these measures and considered it as humanitarian. Considered it as humanitarian. Considered it as humanitarian. अमीर खुसरो ने खूब प्रशंसा किया है इनका, कहा कि ये ह्यूमैनिटेरियन मेजर थे. It was for the benefit of the people. It was for the benefit of the people. It was for the benefit of the people, according to Amir Khusro. According to Amir Khusro. But we can add, but other contemporary historian, considered these measures as for the state. Considered these measures as for the state. It was for the state. His policy was not for the people. His policy was for the state. His policy was for the state. And According to K.S. Lal, according to K.S. Lal, K.S. Lal is a very popular historian. According to K.S. Lal, it was a simple economic principle. It was a simple economic principle. According to K.S. Lal, it was a simple economic principle. What was that? He decided to reduce the salary of the soldiers. He decided to reduce the salary of the soldiers. He decided to reduce the salary of the soldiers, and therefore he decided to reduce and fix the prices of commodity, and therefore he decided to reduce and fix the prices of common use. So K.S. Lal said it was simply an economic principle. It was simply an economic principle. Why? As he decided to reduce the salary, he decided to reduce the prices or fix the prices. Right? Idea was, if you want to stop reaction, you have to do it. If you want to give less salary, you have to minimize the price. You have to control the price. So it was a simple economic principle. So there are two views. One view is it was a humanitarian measure, as mentioned by Amir Khusro, but other historians say that it was for the state. It was for the state, right? Now, next debate among historians was that whether it was applied on only in military headquarters, it was applied in military stations, or it was applied in entire area, the whole empire. Whole empire. Are you getting it? So the one more debate is whether this idea of market control, idea of price control, this was implemented in the whole empire, or it was only in the military station. Only in the military station. What do you think? This is also one debate among historians. ये जो आइडिया था प्राइस कंट्रोल का, ये केवल मिलिट्री स्टेशन जहां जहां था वहां पर था. सपोज दिल्ली और अदर मिलिट्री स्टेशन. It was confined to those area, or it was applicable in the whole area. This is also one debate. ये केवल मिलिट्री स्टेशन पे था या होल एम्पायर में था? व्हाट यू थिंक? आपको क्या लगता है? ये जो मार्केट कंट्रोल वाला आइडिया था, वन डिबेट इज वेदर इट वाज फॉर द पीपुल और फॉर द स्टेट. डिबेट वन इज it was for the people, market regulation, or for state. Amir Khusro is saying for the people, but the rest of the contemporary historians, they're saying that it was for the state. Then second debate two is it was confined to some area where military was placed, because the main object was for military only, or The whole empire. The whole empire. What do you think? Ziauddin Barni said that it was mainly for some military station. Later he tried to expand it in the whole empire, but later it was not successful. Right? So we can add that probably it was earlier for the military station, probably as suggested by Barni, it was for the military station earlier. It was confined to some area where military was placed. Right? Initially, probably it was in the area where military was placed, confined to Delhi or some military station. And later, probably he tried to extend it to the whole empire. Later, he tried to extend it to the whole empire. He tried to expand it to the whole empire. Later, he tried to expand it to the whole empire. Fine. So there are two, debate among historians, and generally it is agreed that probably initially it was for military station, और कोशिश उन्होंने की थी कि होल एम्पायर में इसको लगा दें. Right? Idea is there. Now, what exactly was the policy? How he regulated the prices? Next is how he regulated the prices. How he regulated the prices. How he regulated the prices. So he passed many orders. Called Jawabit. He passed many orders called Jawabit. He passed many regulation called Jawabit. What was that? Number one, he fixed the price at low rates. Number one, he fixed the price at low rate. Like for example, wheat 7.5 jittal per month. Wheat 7.5 jittal per month. For example, wheat 7.5 jittal per month. Wheat 7.5 jittal per month. Like rice 5 jittal per month. Barley 4 jittal per month. He fixed the price. 7.5 jittal per month. Rice 5 jittal per month. Barley 4 jittal per month. 2-3 example you have to give. For example, horses First quality 100 to 120 tanka. Second quality 80 to 90 tanka. So he fixed the price. He gave a list of price. He fixed the price. Horses are also different quality. First quality 100 to 120 tanka. Second quality 80 to 90 tanka. Then, so the first, like some of the regulation, if you see, one regulation was fixing the price, giving the list. Fixing the price, giving the list. Then establishing many market like grain market, like cloth market, then other markets, other essential products, separate market for grain, separate market for cloth, separate market for other essential products. Tanka is a unit. Tanka, Jittal. Who started it? Iltutmish. Iltutmish bache. Iltutmish started Tanka and Jittal. These are unit. So he established different kind of market like grain market, cloth market, market for essential commodities. So he was known for fixing the price. He was known for establishing many market. So horses of different quality, rate fixed. Different grain, rate fixed. Different market he established like grain market, cloth market, market of essential goods, other essential market. Market of other essential commodities. Then next, he appointed controller of market. He appointed controller of market. Controller of market. Right, called Sehna. 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 Sehna, a mandi. Called Sehna, a mandi. He appointed controller of market, a separate officer called Sehna, a mandi. हर एक चीज के लिए अलग अलग मार्केट. फिर he appointed controller of market called Sehna, a mandi. Called Sehna, a mandi. Then all the merchants were registered. Registration of merchants. Registration of merchants. Registration of merchants. Right? Try to see. They had unique ID number. Right? So registration of merchant. If you are not registered, your product will not be accepted. Registration of merchants. Can you believe it? Alauddin Khilji is doing everything. हर एक मर्चेंट का रजिस्ट्रेशन मस्ट. Yes, Sarai Adal was also there. Sarai Adal was also there. It was also one kind of market. Then there was some lower officials to see the regulation called Barids and Munhiyas. Barids or Munhiyas. Barids or Munhiyas. ये क्या करेंगे? लोअर ऑफिशियल्स हैं, जासूस हैं, ये ध्यान देंगे ऐसा तो कोई मर्चेंट नहीं है जो रजिस्टर्ड नहीं है, ऐसा तो कोई आदमी नहीं है जो ज्यादा कीमत पे बेच रहा है. बारिद्स एंड मुनहियाज. देयर वाज ए सिस्टम ऑफ rationing. There was a system of rationing. There was a system of rationing. मतलब you cannot purchase suppose 50 kg of wheat. You have to show the purpose. Why you need this? मतलब आपको उतना ही मिलेगा जितना जरूरत होगा. There was a system of rationing. There was a system of rationing. And he wanted to punish who were involved in corruption. Harsh punishment. Harsh punishment. If involved in corruption, if you are not accepting these regulations, harsh punishment. Ziauddin Barni said, Dalals were punished harshly. Dalals were punished harshly. Is it fine? So, can you believe this kind of effort by Alauddin Khilji to regulate the market? Registration of merchant, rationing system, controlling everything through officers, through regulation, fixing the price, establishing different market. Unbelievable. In medieval India, we are talking about early medieval, after that, Delhi Sultanate, and Alauddin Khilji did all this thing. All this thing. Right? Done. So what is the analysis? What is the final analysis? Analysis. What is the final analysis? We can add that according to Elphinstone, according to a historian called Elphinstone, according to Elphinstone, in spite of his oppressive measure, in spite of his oppressive measure, in spite of his oppressive measures, he was a successful monarch. He was a successful monarch. In spite of his oppressive measure, he was a successful monarch. According to Elphinstone, you can use this sentence. Yes, his measures were oppressive, but yet successful monarch. Successful monarch. Right? So according to Elphinstone, in spite of his oppressive measure, he was a successful monarch. Then according to K.S. Lal, according to K.S. Lal, he crushed the poor. He crushed the poor, but it was the need of the hour. It was the need of the hour. It was the need of the hour. Right? Because state needed it. State needed it. According to K.S. Lal, he crushed the poor. He crushed the poor, but it was the need of the hour. It was the need of the hour. And he used the word exigencies of the state required him to take such harsh step. Exigencies of the state required him to take such a drastic step. Exigencies of the state required him to take such a drastic step. So he did it for the state. But the exigencies of the state required him to take such a step. Right? So K.S. Lal said, if I can elaborate this idea, K.S. Lal said that interest of the cultivator, interest of the trader sacrificed for army. Interest of the cultivators, traders sacrificed for army. है ना? Interest sacrificed for the army. Interest of cultivator, interest of trader sacrificed for the army. And why army? Because it was must for the continuation of Sultanate. It was must for the state. It was must for the state. Remember, because of this, some historians say that it was a military state. It was a military state. अगर इस स्टेट में लंबी चौड़ी आर्मी नहीं रहती तो ये स्टेट बच नहीं पाता. मंगोल खत्म कर देते, लोकल रूलर्स खत्म कर देते. तो स्टेट के बचने के लिए आर्मी की जरूरत थी, और आर्मी के लिए किसी के इंटरेस्ट को सेक्रीफाइस करने की जरूरत थी. और अलाउद्दीन खिलजी ने कल्टीवेटर और ट्रेडर के इंटरेस्ट को सेक्रीफाइस कर दिया. Yes, are you getting this idea? What he did was for the exigencies of the state. He sacrificed the interest of the cultivators, traders. And it was for the army. So, always remember, if you consider Alauddin Khilji as a great ruler, because he helped the state, no doubt about it, that his state was prosperous, his state was strong, his state was in a better condition. But if you analyze Alauddin in the context of people, in the context of trader, sorry, he was not successful. Yes, I hope now you have all the dimension of Alauddin Khilji. I mentioned all the dimension of Alauddin Khilji briefly without writing unnecessary point, so that you have a clear-cut sense and you can link it. You can handle any statement of Alauddin Khilji now, but you have to catch what they are asking.